الله ولي الذين آمنوا
على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله لمع المحسنين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Alhamdulillah, it is now almost the month of Shaaban, and the month of Ramadan is very near. You know, they have a way of expressing themselves in English that there's the last and there's the second to last, or there's the last and the next to last, or even just the word next. And so what it means is that Shaaban, because the very next month after it is Ramadan, that's the last month before Ramadan. Shaaban is the neighbor of Ramadan. It means when we cross over into Shaaban, we should feel like we're entering into the neighborhood of the month of Ramadan. And what does that mean? The month of Ramadan is the month of mercy, the month of Nur. And so when you enter in that neighborhood, then you even you begin to get the mercies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the anwarat and the spiritual blessings of the month of Ramadan right there in Shaaban. Imam al-Rabbani, Shaykh Ahmed Mujaddid al-Fasani writes in his Maktubat that when the blessings of Shaaban reach such a level that when you hit the 15th of Shaaban, then it's almost like the blessings of Ramadan start to trickle in. And he gives the example of the time of Fajr. And at Fajr is the time when the light of the sun starts to trickle in, and sunrise is when the sun itself appears. So he says the 15th of Shaaban is like Fajr. And the 1st of Ramadan is when the sun, meaning the Nur of Ramadan, appears. But even before the Nur of the month of Ramadan appears, its light begins to trickle in at the time of the 15th of Shaaban. So we should all be trying to prepare for Ramadan, remembering the month of Ramadan, spend month of Shaaban in anticipation and yearning for this noble and blessed month of Ramadan. Now, one of the greatest things we could try to do this year in Ramadan, and inshallah we want that the next series of talks that we give from now all the way up to the beginning of that blessed month really focus on this aspect, how to prepare for Ramadan, how to get in the mindset of Ramadan. And always remember that this is an outlook, a sunnah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he very much felt the imminent coming of Ramadan in Rajab and Shaaban. He was in anticipation and yearning, in an state of readiness and excitement for the month of Ramadan. So we need to learn how to feel that same feeling of yearning and anticipation for the month of Ramadan in this month of Shaaban. Now what we should try to do first is that this year we want to make Ramadan different. Different in the following sense, is that in the past we used to change our schedule in Ramadan, but we didn't change ourselves. A lot of people, we do this, we change our schedule in that month, but we don't change ourselves. This year what we want is that I don't want to just change my schedule. We should have this niyat that I also want to change myself. It's very important. Because what happens is when we change our schedule in the month, then when the month ends, we just change the schedule right back. We change our eating times and we change our sleeping times. And then when Ramadan leaves, and we change our schedule back to our old eating times and our old sleeping times. And that's about the only difference. But if we could change ourselves, then inshallah the barakah of Ramadan is that a person doesn't change back. So we have to make a lot of intention and a lot of dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should spend the month of Ramadan making a lot of dua that may Allah Ta'ala accept this month of Ramadan from us. This year, I would suggest that people try to take a theme and try to make that the main purpose and goal, objective of the Ramadan. So I'm going to take the theme of zikr. That in this month of Ramadan we need to learn the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will find that many people say that when we pray salah in Ramadan, we feel more close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We feel more awareness of Allah ta'ala in our salah. We feel more presence of heart in salah. Why? The reason is that because all day we were fasting, and when we were fasting we felt hunger and thirst, but we didn't respond to that hunger and thirst the way we normally do. We didn't eat and we didn't drink. We refrained. That's called imsak. We held back. Why? Because we remembered that we were feeling hunger and thirst for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we were fasting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is also a type of zikr. That means we were remembering Allah ta'ala all day long. And when we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we feel close to Allah ta'ala in our salah. This is a training for us. And this remembrance was not a remembrance of the tongue. It was an awareness of the heart. So we should try that we want to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our heart all the time. All the time. And our mashayikh, alhamdulillah, have made a regimen of zikr. This is why we have mashayikh, tariqah, silsila. Because they give us a program that is doable. The trick that shaitan does is he tries to either make us do nothing and then to feel very sad and depressed that, I can't do anything in deen. Or he tries to make us overeager, overzealous. And then we try and we make a schedule for ourselves that's not even doable. It's not practicable. We're not able to stick to it. And then we fall flat on our face and again end up on nothing. So it keeps us between nothing and impracticality. So the cure for this is to follow the methods of the mashayikh, to follow the methods of the zakireen, to follow their prescriptions, their teachings. And alhamdulillah, the mashayikh of tasawwuf have made very practicable, doable regimens of tazkiyah. Our own mashayikh in Shaaban or Jamand, the method of zikr that we prescribe is that a person should do 100 times istighfar a day, 100 times Durood Sharif Salawat on the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam a day, half a juz tilawat of Quran, half a para recitation of Quran a day. And then they should try to sit for 15-20 minutes silent zikr of the heart, zikr qalbi muraqabah. All of this combined takes about an hour. And everybody has the ability to add an hour to their day. This is just the nature of life. Even if a person says they're very busy, everybody can add an hour. If there's a school teacher and the principal you have to do an extra hour a day, she'll do it. If there's a person who works in an office and they say, okay, from now on you have to work an extra hour a day, they'll do it. If there's a person who sits in a shop or a business and they're told that we need you to come 1 hour earlier, you're coming at 10, we need you to start coming at 9, they'll do it. If it's a professor, they add a number of his courses such that it increases an hour a day, he'll do it. If it's a doctor, they say we need you to give 1 more hour a day at the clinic, they'll do it. So we find, and especially if there's a promotion involved. So if the corporate worker is told, we'll give you a promotion, you'll become manager, but you have to give 1 more hour a day, he'll happily do it. So if we want to get a promotion in our taqwa, an increase and increment in our tazkiyah, and our qurb, and our relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all that we have to do is give 1 more hour a day, why can't we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Nobody is too busy to even give an hour a day. That is our claim. People say, no, I'm so busy, you don't know how busy I am. I say, okay, what do you do? I'm this doctor at a hospital. I say, okay, what if your chief resident or chief consultant says give 1 more hour a day and you get promoted? I say, I'm ready, I'll do it. I'll change my schedule. I'll make adjustments. I'll find a way. That's how people talk. I will find a way. I will make it happen. I will be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. instead of 9. I will find a way. I'll make it happen. That's how serious an attitude we have to take towards our zikr and our tazkiyah. Otherwise, it won't happen. And this is our problem, that we've taken a very lackadaisical attitude towards our deen. the level of seriousness with which we approach dunya in our life, in our world. We don't approach our deed and our tazkiyah and our taqwa and our zikr with the same level of resolve and with the same level of serious intent. We have to make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we were truly a talib of Allah ta'ala, if we were truly seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would make a lot of zikr. You'll find that people, if they're talib, if they're seekers of anything else, they make the time, the effort, the sacrifice to do so. People who are students of knowledge, talib ilm, they make the time, effort, sacrifice to seek that knowledge. A person who's talib, they make the time, effort, that money. So we were supposed to be talibinullah. We are the seekers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeker of His pleasure, seeker of His love, seeker of becoming His beloved. So we would make the time, effort, and sacrifice for that. How could we not do so? How is it possible that we think like that, or we feel like that I don't have time, or I can't make time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So Ramadan is about teaching a person this lesson. You have time, right? Because it makes you do what we thought was undoable, to stay without food and drink, normally undoable, but for Allah ta'ala I can do it. Praying 20 rakats of taraweeh, praying 1 extra hour of salah every day. Otherwise we would say it's not doable, but for Allah ta'ala I can do it. Waking up at the time of suhoor, for most people it's undoable. For the sake of Allah ta'ala I will do it. So many things we do in Ramadan, so actually Allah ta'ala is trying to show us through the coming month of Ramadan that what you think is undoable is doable. What you think is undoable is doable. Now why not try to learn that lesson 1 month in advance this year? Why not start doing what we're supposed to do? You know, our mistake is that we think, okay, Ramadan's coming, Ramadan will fix me. And I'll spend Ramadan, and by the end of Ramadan, I'll be a good mu'min. No, we should think that I'm going to make myself a good mu'min now. I want to enter Ramadan as a good mu'min, so I can benefit from the month of Ramadan as much as possible. This is the attitude we should take this year. I want to enter Ramadan with a fikr, a worry, concern for myself, as opposed to come into Ramadan empty-handed and hope that by the time Ramadan leaves, I graduate from Ramadan with a fikr, worry, concern for myself. No. We should develop that worry and concern now. We should develop that fikr now, and we should make a lot of zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the major enemies that we have is called sin and ghaflat. Ghaflat means heedlessness, emptiness of the heart, mindlessness, numb, heartlessness. That's the way we would call ghaflat. It's heartless. To have to pray a heartless prayer, ghafil salah. To read the Quran in a heartless manner, ghafil tilawah. To make dua to Allah Ta'ala just by ruling through the words in a heartless way, ghafil dua. To spend time at work where you totally forgot Allah Ta'ala, ghafil. And actually Allah Ta'ala wants that we have to fight these two things. We have to abandon these two things. We have to remove these two things entirely from our life, sin and heartlessness, sin and ghaflat. And some people, they try to present an excuse that, no, you don't understand, I'm very busy in dunya, I'm very busy earning, working. Sometimes they may present their financial need, that you don't understand, I'm in a tough time, and zikr is a luxury for people who are doing okay. And me, I have to work a long shift, I have so many things to do, I don't have help, I have to take care of children, I have to do the housework myself, I have to work 2 jobs. Zikr is a luxury, it's not for people like me. Why? Because I'm busy in the dunya. I'm so caught up in the world, I'm so entangled in the work of the world. Allah answered this in Quran. Allah in one particular verse made it clear that no matter how entangled in the world you are, you should still remember Allah Ta'ala. And no matter how busy you might be in the world, earning the world, acquiring the world, even eking out just a survival, bare minimum subsistence level in the world, just struggling, just making do, whatever you're doing in the world, still you can make the zikr of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, رِجَالٌ لَا تَلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْءٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. There are such people that neither trade or commerce, nothing can distract them from the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can distract them from the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does it mean? Allah ta'ala was answering this objection that if you're going to say that, no, you don't understand, I'm so busy, I'm so caught up in dunya, I can't remember Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no. There are such people, لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله. That pure worldly activity, buying, selling, trade, commerce, nothing can distract them from the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used in the verse of the Quran a very striking example. If a person's a doctor, they can say, okay, look, I'm not just doing dunya, I'm also healing people. They can say, teacher, professor, I'm not just earning money, a salary, I'm also educating people, helping people. But a person who is a businessman, pure money making, tijara and bay'. Yes, we can argue that they help the economy and they create jobs, but basically, tijara and bay' means the person is in it for the money, straight up. It's after profit. So here, Allah Ta'ala is saying in the Quran that even a person who is going all out for dunya, 100% is just out to make money, if their heart has that love for Allah Ta'ala, that nisbat ta'alluq ma Allah, that connection, that relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la tulhihim. That can never distract them from the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah answered this objection that we have, this foolish misconception that we have that no, I'm so caught up in the world I can't remember Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, those people who are fully caught up in the world, even their being caught up in earning the world does not distract them from the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. That Allah Ta'ala is not burden any one of us beyond our ability. So when Allah Ta'ala told us in Quran, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu zkurullaha zikran kathira, and every one of us are from the alladhina amanu, it means it is in our ability to do the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're able to do it. We're capable of doing so. It's our choice. We can choose to do it, and we can choose not to do it. Then a second thing, sometimes people present, no, I can't do zikr. Why? Because I'm so worried. I'm facing a lot of difficulty. I'm under stress. I'm in tension. Zikr is for those people who are already relaxed. Everything's going fine. They're tension-free. They can afford this luxury called zikr. No. Allah Ta'ala addressed the second misconception people have in Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, Allah bi zikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. That you should know, be aware, listen, be informed. Bi zikrillahi, only and only in the zikr of Allah Ta'ala will itminan. Means after zikr is itminan. So who is that person who's going to do zikr? Is before zikr they don't have itminan? So it means the people who don't have itminan, sukoon, means who are worried, stressed, in tension, they also make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So neither dunya nor worries, neither dunyadari nor parishani, nothing, no worldly activity, no worry, nothing can excuse us from the zikr of Allah ta'ala. In fact, in these two verses, Allah made it clear that zikr is for a person no matter how worldly, how much they may be tangled in the world, and no matter how many worries they have. Zikr is indeed that cure-all that our Mashaykh say it is. Hence Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, Uzkurullaha zikran kathira. Remember Allah Ta'ala a lot. Why? Because you're in dunya a lot. Remember Allah a lot. Why? Because you have a lot of worries to remember Allah Ta'ala a lot. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala wants you to have a lot of itminan. Therefore, make a lot of zikr. So we have to make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to make it more and more and more. It's our own effort. There's no shaykh who can make our own effort for us. Mashaykh can make their effort on us. But that's part of our tazkiyah. Part of our tazkiyah must necessarily be our effort on us. That part of tazkiyah, there's nobody else who can do it except for us. There's no one who can do our work for us. It's true in every aspect of deen. You can have a brilliant Darul Uloom, academic institution of higher Islamic learning. You can have brilliant teachers, faculty, library, resources, classmates, everything. But there's a certain aspect to a person's studies, which is the student's own effort. Nothing can replace the student's own effort. Nothing can be a substitute for that. There's no way we can say, okay, the student makes zero effort because the library is wonderful, they'll still learn. Because the teacher is amazing, they'll still learn. No. All of those things are there in place, but the student has to put their own share into their learning. Just like that, a salik seeker on this path of the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to put their own share in their tazkiyah, which is their own zikr, their own dua, their own talab, their own yearning for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if they don't put their own share, if they don't make their own share of the effort, then they will be messed up. Then they will be deprived. They'll miss out. They will miss out. And this is a problem with a lot of us, that we're not putting our own effort into the zikr. And alhamdulillah, our Mashaykh in particular, our Mashaykh in Shaaban or Jaman, they put a lot of emphasis on zikr qalbi. Why? Because both of the two major mistakes that we mentioned are from the heart. When we sin, it's from the heart. Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, Asimun qalbuhu, that Asimun, it's a sinner. Their heart is what's sinning. And Allah Ta'ala said in Quran, وَلَا تُطِعْ مَنْ أَغْفَلْنَا قَلْبَهُ الذِّكْرِنَا, that we made a person's heart ghafil, empty, heartless from our dhikr. So means the ghaflat is also in the qalb, and sin, ism, is also in the qalb. So then our Mashaykh said, okay, if the two major problems, sin and heedlessness, heartlessness, are problems that afflict our heart, spiritual heart, our qalb, so why not take a method of zikr that administers the cure directly to the qalb? That's called zikr qalbi. Now if a person is doing zikr qalbi, then inshallah they won't be able to sin, and they won't be able to do it, won't be in a state of forgetfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's our choice whether we make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. And it's very important that we make zikr qalbi, because actually the qalb is a whole language. You know, today there are people who, when they learn a language, they get excited and they learn a few hundred words and they feel they can understand something, and they keep studying and they understand more. And they know that the language wasn't an end in of itself, it was a means of understanding. And the more they use the language, the more they understand. And the more they learn the language, the more they understand. Just like that, actually the qalb is the language of all of deen. Everything is about the qalb. So the more zikr qalbi we do, the more we will understand prayer, the more we understand tilawat the Quran, the more we'll benefit from these things. This is what our Mashaykh, like Imam al-Rabbani, Shaykh Ahmed, and later Shaykh Shaaban, they used to use the term called a reality. Who will understand the reality of Quran? A person who recites Quran with their heartfelt recitation. Who will understand what's the reality of Salah? What's the incredible power, transformative and healing power Allah Ta'ala put in Salah, in the Salata Tanha and Fashai wal Munkar? That is going to be the person who prays Salah with their heart. So when we make the zikr qalbi, we start learning the language of deen. Language of deen is Arabic. That's the language of our tongue. The language of deen is the heart. That everything is to be heartfelt. Heartfelt recitation, heartfelt prayer, heartfelt supplication, heartfelt khidmat, heartfelt suhbat, heartfelt Ramadan, heartfelt fasting, heartfelt itikaf, heartfelt umrah. The whole language of deen is based on the heart. And when a person makes zikr qalbi, then you can imagine like this, that by making the qalb do the zikr of Allah Ta'ala's name, then the qalb starts learning the language of deen. The qalb gets the feelings of taqwa. It's not equipped, it's trained. Not if a person they know English language today, then it's a tool. It opens up for them so many areas of learning, because the vast majority of areas of learning today, the textbooks are in English, the journals are in English, the academic literature is in English. So if a person knows English, they have a key to that window of learning. But many times we thought it was the Arabic language. No doubt the Arabic language is the key to the meanings of deen, but it's the language of the heart that is the key to the feelings of deen. And the language of the heart is the zikr of Allah, Allah, Allah. وَذْكُرْ نَمْبَكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ, and make zikr of your Rabb inside yourself, inside your heart. So we have to learn this language by making effort on our qalb to make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we can't wait. We can't wait until, okay, no, I can only do these things when I finish some whole course, or alim a course, or I've done this, or I've done that. No. We have to learn the language of the heart and start immediately. Just like a person may learn 50 words even, they're happy to hear that language. They get excited. They think, okay, maybe they're excited and waiting for that one word that they can pick out and they can understand. Just like that, the person who does zikr qalbi, they get the feelings of their heart, so they just keep making it dua. They're waiting for that one round which their heart will feel. They keep reciting Quran, they're waiting for that one verse that will impact their heart. They keep praying salah, more salah, nafil salah. Why? Because they're waiting for that one rak'ah or one set of 2 rak'ah salah that will impact their heart. So now their heart is awakened, their heart is enlivened, their heart is searching and seeking for the feelings that Allah Ta'ala has put for the heart. You see, Allah Ta'ala has put the delights of the heart in the zikr and ibadat of deen, in the feelings of deen. And when a person makes this zikr, then they start feeling these delights. That's why Imam al-Rabbani explained a beautiful thing, that some people do zikr for lazzat, and they think that, okay, what, some pleasure. Pleasure might be they may feel some harakat, tahalluk, some vibration, some tingling. They may feel hararat, some warmth. They may get some kayfiyat, get some spiritual state of ecstasy. So yes, all of these things may have some lazzat, some pleasure to them. But he says the most pleasurable thing about making zikr is following Sharia and being mutabik to the Sharia. That obedience to Allah Ta'ala, that compliance to Allah Ta'ala has the greatest sweetness to it. That taqwa has the greatest sweetness to it. Staying away from sin and being empty of ghaflat, that has the greatest sweetness to it. Just like Sayyidina Rasulullah, he told in hadith that if you fail to lower your gaze, then you lose the halawat of iman. What does it mean? That non-compliance means you lose the ultimate sweetness. And if a person complies with Allah's commandments and rules, then they get that ultimate sweetness, the true lazzat, which is the lazzat of Shariat, which is the sweet pleasure and sweetness of actually following Allah Ta'ala's wishes and commands and actually earning Allah Ta'ala's pleasure. This is what we feel in Ramadan. I said, people say, I know I was fasting and I should have been hungry and thirsty, but I felt a strange sweetness to the fast. I enjoyed fasting. They say that Ramadan is a sweet month. Also a month of mercy, but it's also a month of sweetness. Why? Because it's a month in which we have taqwa, la'allakum tattaqoon. But I was saying that, why don't you taste how sweet it is to listen to me? You fast and see what sweetness you get. And then when you realize that la'allakum tattaqoon, hopefully that you will get this taqwa. Hopefully you will start yearning for and striving for taqwa all year round, because you will want the sweetness that comes with compliance, the sweetness that comes with obedience, the sweetness that comes with itaat and ibadat. That is the greatest lazzat of zikr. So that zikr is not being done then for lazzat, that's being done for hifazat. It's hifazat of our iman, it's what preserves our iman. It preserves our deen, it preserves our haya, protects us from sin. So the mistake a lot of us make is to think zikr is luxury, you do it for lazzat, do it for ecstasy or for feelings. No. We should view zikr as my hifazat. Zikr is my zarurat. Zikr is my need and necessity. Zikr is for the very preservation of my iman, for the preservation of whatever little taqwa I have to make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I have to make the zikr of Allah lots and frequently. Udkurullah zikran kathira, that remember Allah ta'ala lots and frequently. Lots and frequently. Allahu Akbar. To really make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the real sweetness. Real sweetness. So we want to get the sweetness of Sharia. And we get that through zikr. Why? Because zikr protects us from sin and zikr protects us from ghaflat. When a person doesn't have sin and doesn't have ghaflat, then they end up on Shariat. And this is the state which Allah Ta'ala wanted to lift humanity to. This is how the human beings are better than angels. The angels also have no sin and no ghaflat. Always doing zikr, ibadat, itaat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Difference is that a human being who becomes a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who erases their sin and erases their ghaflat, so they become, okay, in order to become better than an angel, the first step is we have to be at least equivalent to an angel. So angels have no sin and no ghaflat. So if a human being does that, makes so much effort on their deen, following so much sunnah, having so much taqwa, making so much zikr, that their entire life becomes mutabik to Sharia, so they leave sin entirely. and their heart is always remembering Allah Ta'ala, so they're left ghaflat entirely, like Allah Ta'ala commanded, وَلَا تَكُمْ مِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Now they're better than the angel. Why? Because outwardly they're equivalent, but now the angel and this human both have zero sin and zero ghaflat. But there's a difference. The angel had zero sin while being incapable of sin. They have zero ghaflat, but yet they're incapable of it. However, the human being, him or her becoming 0% sin is amazing. Why? Because they're capable of sinning. In fact, they're capable of outright sinning. In fact, they're capable of 100% sin, 100% kufr. They're capable of that. But notwithstanding that capability, still they chose to take a path of 100% obedience and compliance to Sharia. So that's amazing. That's what their wilayat is even greater than the angels. Similarly, they have the ability to forget Allah Ta'ala. They're capable of being ghafil, of forgetting Allah Ta'ala entirely, or forgetting Allah Ta'ala partially. But no, their heart was so full of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they made so much zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that notwithstanding the capability that they're capable of being ghafil, still they're zakir. So that's better than an angel, because an angel's not even capable of being ghafil. So actually, this is the way, it's through zikr, and the effect that zikr has on the person, that they leave sin, they leave ghaflat. It's through the method of zikr that Allah Ta'ala wanted to lift humanity to a level, a daraja, that is even higher than the malaika, higher than the angels. So we have to make zikr kalmi, and make a lot of zikr in our heart, a lot of zikr in our time, and we should view it as a necessity, not a luxury. And I need the zikr to stay away from sin, to stay away from ghaflat. You see, our Hazrat, our Shaykh is very often used the example. When a person goes to Mashaykh and they take zikr from them, so it's like to get a prescription in their hand. Now can you imagine any person who is physically sick, a mareed, a patient, and he goes to the doctor and he gets a prescription, and even goes to the medical store, the pharmacy, and actually fills the prescription, gets the medicine. And I have another problem. I'm so lazy that I can't put the medicine in my mouth. So they go back to the doctor and say, okay, no, alhamdulillah, you cured me of this illness, and you gave me the prescription for the medicine to cure me of every illness that I have. But I have now another illness, which is what? That I'm so lazy I can't even put the medicine in my mouth. So what would the doctor say? The doctor will say, okay, the only cure for this is I will stick you in the psychiatric ward. If you're saying that you have the pill in your hand, and you can't even be bothered to put it in your mouth, you're so lazy you can't even do that, here doctors have no cure for you. There's no cure for this. You're incurable. So you become incurable. This is a problem with a lot of us when it comes to our deen. That we have the prescription, whether broadly speaking, we have the prescription of Quran, Sunnah, and Sharia, or we got the prescription from our ulama, or we got a personalized filled prescription from our mashayikh, and we got it filled, and we know these ma'mulat, we know these zikr azkar, they're in right there in our hand, but we can't bring ourselves to put them in our ruh, we can't bring ourselves to do amal on it. So that level of laziness, you just have to whip yourself in shape. And until and unless we fight this laziness and fight this sin, fight this ghaflat, we won't be able to become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And especially those of us who have been on deen for longer, like we mentioned last week, have already done the major things, left major sins, and are following major ibadat, then for them the only way to progress is more and more zikr. More and more zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they get deeper and deeper and deeper into deen, deeper into the feelings of deen, the realities of deen, deeper into our own identity of deen. So this is the whole purpose of this coming month of Ramadan, that a person goes so deep into their deen that they never come out, that they get the feelings of deen, they get the feelings of zikr in their heart. So we need to start preparing for that very same thing now, by making the zikr azkar that our mashayikh have taught us, by turning to Allah Ta'ala, remembering Allah Ta'ala all the time in our heart, and by fighting ourselves so that we stay away from sin, and make sure that we stay away from ghaflat. All the time our heart should be remembering Allah Ta'ala, we should be engaged in something, some activity, some task that is connecting our hearts to Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala Shaaban, it'll make us zakireen and muttaqeen already in Shaaban, and make us permanently established amongst the muttaqeen and zakireen and salihin and siddiqeen in the month of Ramadan. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. We make dua subhana rabbina al-wahhab. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. Ya Allah, Rabbi Kareem, we ask that you remove the laziness from our heart, remove the ghaflat from our heart, remove the sins from our heart. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we want to become pious in private. We want to yearn for you in the night, yearn for you alone. Ya Allah, we want to leave every leisure, every pleasure, every luxury, every recreation. Ya Allah, we want you to be our leisure, your remembrance to be our pleasure, your worship to be our recreation. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us seekers of you, make us thirsty for you, make us needy for you, make us faqir of you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, let us never fall into laziness, let us never fall into neglect, let us never be negligent in deen. Keep us away from every form of ghaflat, Ya Rabbi Kareem, and make us amongst the sincere, true and steadfast zakireen. Ya Allah, protect us from sin, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we have spent so many years trying to become close to you, yearning for you, seeking you, Ya Rabbi Kareem, and still the nafs hasn't given up, shaitan hasn't given up, our own desires have taken control. Still we sin against you. Ya Allah, we ask that you rescue us from the sin, emancipate us from sin, deliver us from sin, grant us taqwa, Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us zikr, Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us a life of taqwa and zikr, a home of taqwa and zikr, an environment of taqwa and zikr, and Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask that you make our hearts from zakireen, grant us the zikr qalbi, Ya Allah, teach us the language of the heart, the language of the zikr, the language of ibadah, the language of sunnah, Ya Rabbi Kareem, so we too feel the nur in every ibadah that we do, we feel the nur in every sunnah that we follow. Ya Rabbi Kareem, make our hearts munawwar with this nur. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتوب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين.